UFC Fight Night, Adesanya versus Imavov just finished up. I predicted the main card like 4 days ago. So we're going to be going through all my predictions and just like an overview of the fights that I predicted. Now, this is the last time I'm ever going to use the official UFC website for the fights on the card because I used that and I thought, you know what, they're not going to lie about the fights on the card. I couldn't predict one card, like one fight on the card, because it just didn't exist anymore. One fight got completely removed, and I accidentally ended up predicting one of the prelims because they hadn't even finished the bout order. So this is the last I'm ever going to use that, and I'm an exclusively use Tapology from now on. That being said, let's get into the fights that I predicted. Starting off with the only prelim fight on the card that I predicted, because hopefully my mic quality isn't too bad. It's been a little bit doo-doo as of recent, but we'll move. Prelim fight that I predicted. I kind of lost my flow for a second because I had to go answer the door. But we have Naimov versus Alofi. I predicted Naimov to win. I said round 2 KO. He was better on the feet. I mean, I wasn't predicting Alofi to pick Naimov above his head. Was that the fight that happened? No, it was the next one. Oh man, I'm gonna get my notes up because I've just said the wrong bloody fight. I've just said that Alofi picked him when he didn't. Alofi got smashed, mate. It's kind of a story where Alofi he wasn't really hitting damaging strikes. You know, first things first, actually, before we even talk about damaging strikes, a lot of cage holding in this fight. Now, not a lot where it's like, oh, well, it was 4 minutes of cage holding. It's not like it's the fucking Shavkat Gary fight, and he has to change his shorts halfway through because they've literally been cut on the front from how much he's been holding him against it. But it was quite, it wasn't that good of a fight in terms of, oh, let's just fucking scrap it out, you know. But no damage was really being done from Alofi within the first round or two. Whereas round three kind of, put a little bit more into it. Was this the fight where he. Yeah, so this is. The problem I had with Alofi in this fight was he waited till the last minute to really start trying, which, good thing, leave everything out on there. Where was that the first 14 minutes? You know, like, yeah, you can start trying or you can start trying to knock him out in the last minute because you need a win. But you also needed a win like 14 minutes ago at the start of the fight when not the UFC, when the referee clapped you in, right? He says fight, and then then you need a knockout, not oh shit, I'm 3-1, I'm 3-0 down, I need to get a finish in the last minute. So a little bit, not really the best game plan from Alofi, but a good win from Naimov. Moving on to the actual main event that I was supposed to be predicting, we got this one wrong. Now, I didn't actually make this one in my prediction video because the UFC screwed me and I didn't even see the fight was even on the card. So I made this about 10 minutes before the start of the event. So I pretty much I had no time to research either of these guys. So I'm basically just sat here going in and blindly picking one of them. So I looked at the odds, and then I looked at like Davis and what he does in terms of like significant strikes per fight and whatever, and takedowns per fight, submissions per fight. And then I look at the ZM and I go, okay, I'm going to pick Davis to win. Plus ZM is quite lanky for the division. He is 6'1". So I said, okay, right, he's probably going to get chinned and then maybe submitted on the floor. But worst comes to worst, he's probably going to lose because he doesn't have a solid chin. Now, I don't know how many times I can make this argument that weight cutting affects your chin when you're tall and lanky in the division, because every single time I say it, they just go on to win the fight regardless. So that's not very good. However, Mike Davis did not win this fight, as I predicted. ZM won this fight via decision. Now, round one was Davis looked like he was having a stinker, and I made the worst pick of my entire life. This man pulls guard onto bottom position. Never do that in MMA. It doesn't work. I know Hoist Gracie used to do it, but that's when people, didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. So they kind of just go, okay, yeah, whatever, we'll just jump on guard, and then he submits them. Doesn't work anymore. He puts himself in a stupid situation on the way up. So there was a lot of blood in this fight. He was in like a clinch situation, but because he was like half up, half down, he didn't really have any like knees or like palms on the ground. He was in a position where he can get kneed in the face. Now, we obviously shouldn't be exploiting the rules because that makes very boring fights, but he was in a position where neither of his hands were on the floor. He could easily get kneed in the face and he wasn't moving because he probably thought, "Oh, I'm safe here." So yeah, he ended up getting kneed in the face and opened up a scalp cut on the top of his head, where blood just started gushing. And now he did say he got poked in the eye, but I think the blood probably played into the eye problems he had during the fight, or the sight problems he had during the fight, because there was blood everywhere. It was a bloody fight. So like it was a dumb move from complete like downy move from Davis, but we'll move that. Round two, early takedown defense. He suplexed him from behind onto back position, I believe, in this one. Was it this one? Yes. And then he also put him into a calf slicer from a heel hook position. Now, obviously, heel hooks don't work. He went through it like 3 times in this fight. It barely works in like jiu-jitsu alone, especially after like 10 minutes when they're so sweaty, because you can't just have a hold of the heel and twist it, or like where when it's like sweaty they'll just slip out of it. So he kept going for heel hooks, which is a pretty stupid move. But the calf slicer he had, I don't know how Zaim's ACL is still functioning. Like, his knee was bent 15 different places. He probably should be in a wheelchair currently, but he somehow got out of it. Round 3, good takedown defense from Davis to stop Zaim. Zaim then picked him up and carried him across the cage. Don't know how that worked, but he did it. And he basically won the fight 3-0, in my opinion. I think this might have got fight of the night. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, to be fair, some of the fighting in this card was absolute doo-doo. But moving down the card, we have Said Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Oliveira. This is the second one I've got wrong on the card. We're 2 out of 3. This is a horrible, horrible prediction. No, we're 1 out of 3. Even worse. I said Said Nurmagomedov was going to get it done. Mainly because Vinicius Oliveira was, he got out-grappled against other fighters. So I think, okay, Said Nurmagomedov, he goes to, he trains at Habib's gym. I'm not even going to bother saying right? And I think, okay, listen, this guy can out-grapple him. But, apparently not. And also, apparently, he only has 1 round of gas. Like, Oliveira had a broken rib going into this fight, and Nurmagomedov got gassed before him. He had 1 round of cardio, which, fair enough, very good for that round. Spinning kicks, in like flying knees, well, there was also a head clash as well, but I mean, who cares about that? But hitting good roundhouse kicks to the head, great striking, maintaining distance perfectly. Round 2, I missed the first half of the round because my internet went out. Great. Good takedowns from Said. He actually started shooting because he was gassing. 5 minutes into the second round, these Dagestani fighters are having a terrible start to 2025, with them all gassing out apparently. But he was winning on damage. No, he wasn't. Oliveira was winning on damage. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Round 3, Said was gassing and winging every single shot. I think he only threw 1 non-telegraphed shot the entire round. Oliveira was obviously, he was also throwing random ones, but he had a broken rib, so we can let him off. Said was he was winging shots, man. He was going, whoa, whoa, no technique in it. He barely was landing. I think it was 34 significant strikes for Oliveira, 8 for Nurmagomedov. Criminal. Oliveira won that round 2-1, which means we're now 2-1 on picks because we're stupid. Next up, we have... What have I got? Oh, never mind. Okay, we have Pavlovich versus Rosenstruik. I missed a lot of this fight because, well, I'm not going to lie, it was a very boring fight, and I wasn't quite paying attention to the fight in full. I said Pavlovich will get it done in round 1. He got a decision. I thought Pavlovich was every single fight he's won in the UFC so far, he has won it in round 1 with a KO. So I think, okay, he's clearly a bulldozer. I know he's on a 2-fight losing streak and he might want to play it slightly differently, but I still think he's going to knock out Rosenstruik at the end of round 1. He didn't even score a knockdown. Arguably, he should have scored a knockdown in round 2 when he basically hit him and it kind of pushed Rosenstruik over, which is kind of a knockdown, kind of not. I don't think they gave it to him. But he really should have knocked him out. This was a terrible fight in the card. Rosenstruik is a very boring heavyweight, if we're being honest here. Pavlovich should have done better. Complete aura deficit from this guy now. That's all I'm really going to say about this fight because I didn't really watch a lot of it. I know he got a few takedowns, which is very good. He was playing a little bit more intelligently or fighting a little bit more intelligently than he has been doing, which is just like, I'm just going to like Russianly bulldoze them through. Um, but that's pretty much all I got to say for this fight. I got it right. At least I got it right. It's the only one. It's only one outside the first fight that I got right on this card, which is quite unfortunate. However, Sharon Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page. We got this one wrong. I said round 3 KO for Magomedov. Sharon Magomedov has no lateral movement at all. I know Michael Venom Page is very good at like closing distance and has a massive reach advantage. The issue is when you're going against a guy with a massive reach advantage, you have to move in at different angles. Sharon Magomedov was moving in straight lines towards MVP. So MVP would like dance around, do his KSI style jumping jacks, and then like close the distance really quick and go bam, right? And then Sharon Magomedov would just like, okay, right, brother, I got to move forward. And then he plods forward, throws a little bit, misses everything, and MVP just throws at him again. That was the entire fight. Didn't change his game plan, didn't shoot a takedown. Obviously, he's not a wrestler, he's not a grappler. He didn't shoot a single takedown. He didn't even try and, like, my chair is so squeaky, it's actually starting to annoy me. He didn't even start, like, trying to, get into a clinch. He didn't try and, push me against the cage, do anything against him. All he was trying to do was close the distance while moving in vertical straight lines towards MVP, while at a 6-inch reach disadvantage. He's not the smartest guy in the shed. Now, this would have been, seen earlier if the UFC didn't keep giving him, guys who are 6'2" with a 71-inch reach. You know what I mean? Like, Petrosan, he's an alright guy, but he's a striker with a 71-inch reach. How do you have a 2-inch reach advantage over this guy? And like, they keep giving him very stylistically good matchups. My thinking behind this pick was I was not confident about this pick at all. Sharon Magomedov kind of will find a way to get it done. He has to find a way to get it done, otherwise he's a fraud check, right? He didn't change anything up. He spent the first round and the third round were pretty much identical. You can give him the third round based on like the little bit of damage he hit at the end of the round. It took him 14 minutes to land a clean strike to the head. They started running statistics in the second round. He hadn't landed a single significant strike to the head, and after that point, I counted them. He landed like one at the end of the round. It shouldn't take you 14 minutes to land a good strike, clean strike on the head, but apparently it does. Should have really won this fight, but he didn't because he didn't change anything up at all. Another undefeated fighter bites the dust. What can we say? Anyway, good win for Michael Venom Page. Moving on to the main event, which was Adesanya versus Imavov. I said Adesanya would get it done by decision. I thought, you know what? He has to, he has to go, Jan must have forgot, right? Come back and, do his thing. Round 1, looking very promising. Round 1, looking very sharp, looking very, like, electric. Like his shorts, they've got, like, little lightning bolts on it. It's like that. It's like, boom, 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 electric. Kicking on the outside, kicking on the inside. Oh, I don't want my inside. Kicking, loads of outside leg kicks. Decent inside leg kicks, not as good as the outside ones. He's really a leg kick merchant, if you think about it. But he was winning the first round, and he won the first round pretty decisively. Round 2, we open up the round. He gets hit with an eye poke. So, obviously, I don't know if it was actually an eye poke. I believe it definitely was, because I watched it back and it looks like an eye poke. A little bit hard to tell from the angle, but gets hit with an eye poke. Pereira does the thing where he goes, no. Like what he did against Jamal Hill. Israel Adesanya says, no, we continue. From the eye poke. So he slaps him back in and goes, fight! And then he gets knocked out a few seconds later. Now, he's obviously, that's 2 fights in a row when he's tried to do what someone else had done. So we've got the Max Holloway point, got knocked out there. And then he got the Pereira one, where he got knocked out a second later. He keeps trying to do these, like, TikTok, like, clip farming things. And he is clip farming. He's just on the bad, like, receiving end of it. So he points down, which he apparently said, oh no, it's my foot, which it wasn't. This was in the Duplessis fight. Gets taken down and submitted. Right there, like 30 seconds later. The nice one. And then we got this one, which is just, he gets poked in the eye. He says, no, I want to continue. And then he gets knocked out 2 seconds later. Now, this was, this probably has nothing to do with an eye poke, if I'm going to be honest. He has terrible boxing defense, especially when backing up. This was never exposed by the likes of Robert Whittaker or Kelvin Gastelum, even though it should have been, realistically speaking. They were pretty close fights. But it never really was exposed because he has like a 6-inch reach advantage on both of them. So, however, it was kind of exposed because they were very close fights. But because of the reach and height advantage, they kind of like couldn't really fully expose it. But Imavov exposed in this fight. He got knocked out. Sad to see, to be fair, because there's not really much else for him in this, in the UFC at the moment. There's not really much, can he rebrand himself at middleweight? He's already lost 4 on the bounce to middleweight contenders. Well, I'm not counting Pereira as a middleweight contender, but that's not 4 on the bounce, but 1 and 4. But he's lost 3 on the bounce to Strickland, Duplessis, and now Imavov. The UFC aren't going to give him Chimaev. They can give him Bahalio maybe, but that's a close one. And if he loses to Bahalio, there is no way back for him. You know what I mean? Like, if he loses to Bahalio, he's lost to everyone except for Whittaker inside the top, 5. It's sad to see. So he's not big enough to move up to light heavyweight either, which is another unfortunate thing. So unless he wants to run it back with, Pereira and do a trilogy fight, maybe if he loses to Ankalaev. Other than that, there's nothing Vittori trilogy, There's not really else to do. In terms of where this card lines up in terms of predictions, we finished with a 69% prediction rate. That's overall, we finished with a 33% prediction rate for this fucking card. But in terms of we've only really done 5 full predictions. I've done predictions for main events, or fight nights, whatever. But we're starting to get into the big numbers here, right? The cards. We're actually doing the full cards now. So in terms of Adesanya versus Imavov, we've got 33%. We'll be doing one for UFC 312, which that's basically a fight night with 2 championship fights anyway. What can you do? But it comes in dead last. Awful predictions of the card. We went 2 and 4. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.